Let's podcast alongside Chip Patterson, CBS Sports Cover 3 podcast. I'm Joe Ovies. Julio is on vacation. Hopefully he has not gotten a speeding ticket. No guarantees.
Don't speak it into existence.
No guarantees, folks. No guarantees. As always, we're brought to you by Copiers Plus. Check them out online, copiers-plus.com. Print management, document management, get everything you need into the cloud. Like right now, it's back to school. There's all these consent forms we got to sign.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you can do? Scan them. Email them. Super simple. Super simple. So go to copiers-plus.com. I'm excited you're here today, Chip.
I'm fired up that I'm here because you know that I legitimately love the show. And so getting to participate, I get to fanboy out a little bit.
I can't think of a better day for you to hang out today because we got some hot conference realignment smut that dropped this week.
Where's the dude from West Virginia when you need him?
This is
Greg Swaim. Come on down.
This is the equivalent of going to the supermarket and seeing the end cap at the cash register with all those books, little novels.
Mm-hmm.
Got Fabio on the cover. And this one, you have sweaty online conference realignment bros going through it. And the reason why we've got conference realignment smut is we've got a leaked PowerPoint presentation from Virginia Tech. Oh, yeah.
Which,
yeah.
I think is supposed to be publicly available,
Now
but then it was made not publicly available.
So the timeline on that is Whit Babcock, who's the AD at Virginia Tech, is going to present this deck because we can't call them PowerPoint presentations. The cool kids call them a deck.
DEK.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So the deck
Big deck energy.
The deck is supposed to be presented to the Virginia Board of Governors or whatever they call it up in Virginia on August 18th. This coincides with NC State Athletics Director Boo Corrigan having some media availability and kind of talking about the state of NC State. The reason why I find this interesting is on multiple levels. The first one is Whit Babcock's deck gives you insight as to what is happening at every athletic department in the country, every athletic department in North Carolina, every athletic department in the ACC. So let's rewind to ACC kickoff, where Inside Carolina had two reports, one from Greg Barnes, one was followed up by Adam Smith, related to North Carolina's intentions wanting to get to the SEC. These are things that we all understood.
Sure.
But this was just more in plain terms. This is what this transition from Bubba Cunningham, AD currently, who we're supposed to talk to next week, to the new AD and where they find themselves in the next 5 years, because we all know this big thing is happening in the next 5 years. So it was interesting to get what the insight is, in the same way that it's interesting to get this from Boo Corrigan, the NC State AD. This was written up by Corey over at Pack Pride. Let me get through this ad that has nothing to do with Heister Automotive Group. I'm sure you can get an Audi at Heister Automotive Group, used, in good condition, pre-owned, as we like to say. Quote from Boo Corrigan: the one thing that we talk about a lot in the athletic department is being patient. You're not really sure what's going to come out in 2 weeks or 3 weeks that's going to change the dynamic that you're working under. So ours is taking a really patient approach to what's going on, as opposed to making an immediate decision that you have to change. We'd rather be patient with it, thoughtful with it, and then come out with the right decision. I'm going to put that through the translator and say that NC State is not in the same position as North Carolina.
Oh, sure. But I mean, doesn't that also kind of echo Jim Phillips? It's like, we can't just sit around preparing for 2030 all the time. We've still got business we have to figure out right now.
Yeah.
And the ACC, much like NC State, probably not the one who's calling the shots.
Yes.
Probably not dictating where the boat is going, but more following the wind.
Virginia Tech's in the same boat, by the way.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a valuable brand, don't get me wrong, but we're talking about a brand that's still getting by on things that happened under Beamer ball.
Right, and the other thing that you don't have is long history of tradition before Beamer. You know, we have a situation, much like, honestly, the Bobby Bowden Florida State, where the program as we know it is entirely molded after that one coach. And now what Brent Pry is finding out, and what honestly the coach after Brent Pry will find out, is that it is to have that long-standing, Big Ten, SEC level of buy-in from your fan base requires you to be able to do it through multiple coaches and multiple generations.
So the Sports Business Journal did the upshot of what this PowerPoint presentation that will be available or going to be presented on August 18th to Virginia Tech. Few takeaways from the presentation. Quote, Babcock projects Big 12 to catch the ACC in annual media rights distribution by 2036. I get the projection, but if we're focused on 2036 and not where things might be in 2029, I think you're missing the forest from the trees.
Sure.
On what's really happening in the next 5 years.
Well, it means that Brett Yormark whispered those sweet nothings about breaking apart football and basketball and having Kansas play Arizona on the moon.
Exactly.
And all of the other good ideas that he's got.
Now, this I find interesting. He says in his mind, there's 4 scenarios of what college football could look like in the long term. Power 4 and everyone else. Okay. It's kind of what we have now. SEC and Big 10 in the highest level, then the ACC and the Big 12, and then everybody else. Although actually you could argue that's probably what it is now. A college football super league that's divided into 3 tiers, things that we have talked about. And lastly, a reorganization that includes 72 schools in the Power 12, another 64 schools in the group of 8. And he calculated that games on ESPN and ABC draw an average of 1.82 million incremental viewers, which is worth $560,000 per game in year 1, 101.61 million per game over 5 years within the ACC's new success initiatives, which rewards schools for football and basketball achievement, which gets to the other interesting things that they broke down in the slides. I'll go ahead and I'll show it to you. If you're watching on YouTube, obviously on podcast, I'll explain it. This is a slide showing the 5-year rolling average viewership ranking for football. And it's not a shock that from 2018 through last season that Clemson and Florida State are 1 and 2.
I mean, listen, shout out to Dabo Swinney, but really shout out to the time slot champs. You know, like if Florida State only has like 1 ACC title, man, they've got a lot of viewership titles. Hang the banner.
Same with Miami.
Yes,
Solidly third. Okay. Miami's constantly teasing you with the fact that they're back. The U is back, baby. They're solidly third because of the TV time slot championships. Then we get into the rolling differences of matchups mattering. For instance, Georgia Tech finished 4th in 2024. Now, why would that be, Chip? Why would Georgia Tech, out of nowhere, show up 4th?
2 words. Number 1, Ireland. And then number 2, overtimes.
Right.
8 of them on Black Friday when the whole world is like, wait a second, is Georgia going to lose? And we watched our hero Haynes King pick his body off the ground multiple times, getting the paddles out. But of course, they fell short. But in a television event, one of the television events of the year, honestly.
Yeah, so matchups matter. Special events matter. You're a one-off in Ireland. This is why North Carolina is going to be playing TCU in Ireland next year. That's a big TV draw, which gets us to North Carolina. North Carolina is never going to be 1, 2, or 3, but they can absolutely occupy that space from 4 through 7, as seen on this slide. And you see North Carolina 5th, 6th, 7th. NC State, if I'm looking at this correctly, only showed up once in the last 5 years. And of course, it just so happened to be the one where they shit the bed.
Yeah, the Tennessee game.
Which gets to a point that Giglio has been making oftentimes, and that NC State fans can complain about their time slots, but every time they do get a major time slot to show off who they are, what do? They put on a bad game as opposed to Georgia Tech, who's been putting on some good games, right? So North Carolina being in that mix for television ratings matters for where they potentially could go next. This is why they have their eyes on the SEC. Although there are still some truthers out there that are convinced it's going to be the Big 10. Virginia Tech fell off. Virginia Tech has always been a household name. Virginia Tech used to own Thursday nights on ESPN.
I know. The Big East used to own Thursday nights.
So that has fallen off, but you look at how Virginia Tech has done football-wise, they just haven't been good. They haven't been compelling, and that's why they have fallen off. And this is all, it's funny, all of this stuff that Whit Babcock is putting out in deck form is all stuff that makes logical sense. The question, Chip, is how do you fix it? How do you get better? Investment, of course, which gets to the other aspects of the slide presentation. I was going to say the budget, the football
spending chart was one of my takeaways that I jotted down in addition to the conference realignment, stuff of this. It's just a reminder of how many ACC programs are very much in that bundled middle and the large gap between those programs and Florida State and Clemson, which are spending, what is it, like $62 million versus $43 million is sort of where we're looking at with the tiers.
So I brought up the slide if you're watching on YouTube. This is the ACC operating budget estimates as of July 1, 2025. And Virginia Tech is at $122 million.
For the whole athletic department.
For the whole athletic department, which ranks 14th. That's actually behind NC State. That's just above them at $125 million. You got North Carolina at $145 million, although that's going up because of what's going on with Bill Belichick and the football program. Private institution ranked number 1, $215 million. What private institution could that be?
Nina! Hey, Nina! Hey, Nina, we got that checkbook. We got to cut another check right now. Yeah, I think that'd be our friends in Durham.
I think it's either our friends in Durham or our Havesies partner.
Are they counting Notre Dame? Okay,
Notre Dame.
All right. It might be Notre Dame.
I think Notre Dame is $215 million. Okay. I think private institution that ranks number 4 at $165 million.
That might be Nina.
That might be our friends in Durham. So regardless, that's where we are with the operating budget. Now, I know what people will say because Miami's in the same boat too. Virginia Tech and Miami used to dominate a certain era of college football, but that era of college football no longer exists. Virginia Tech, you mentioned the Big East, they were able to do it on a regional level when college football was regional. They had a style of football that worked at that time with Beamer ball, and they also had an advantage in that they would play any night. That gave them that thing. Now everybody's playing every night. So all those advantages for Virginia Tech have been taken away. Miami's in the same boat too, in that Miami came up in a time where, Nevin Shapiro existed. You could sell Miami. You also recruited in your own backyard. You didn't have to go outside.
And everybody wasn't coming in to come get everybody from your backyard.
So you could get away with being a cheap school because you had fertile lands to pull in your crops. That doesn't exist anymore for a variety of reasons that we know. So there are certain things that are just institutional. You cannot get over.
No.
Because of the way college football is right now, or the college athletics is. So that's why I think Virginia Tech is ultimately kind of screwed. I think Miami's ultimately kind of screwed, but North Carolina is in a very advantageous position.
Well, that's why I think that North Carolina, as we discussed when the hire was made, it is about Bill Belichick, especially as we are getting close to the start of the season.
Yeah.
But it is also about just deciding as a school that we are going to spend like we're serious.
Yes.
Because otherwise, it has been the Roy Cooper line. You're just trying to delay the question for as long as possible. Yeah. And so when you are finally jumping up into a different spending category, do you know where I've seen it? I mean, I know that you suggested that some of the video content has been sort of like soft launching the Hulu show and the Hard Knocks stuff. Yeah. But I mean, that 28-minute episode just posted on the social media accounts that had some cool behind the scenes stuff. That is investment in a video department. That is investment in continuing to treat the entire operation at a different level. And I'm not saying that is going to yield results that are any different than what you were getting when you were spending 25 to 30% of what you might be spending on the football operating budget.
Yeah.
But you are at least spending to see if it can lead to better results.
It's weird. All the things that are happening at North Carolina right now have happened again. In fact, now that I think about it, I might as well just show it off. So yesterday, hold on a second. There are some callbacks to the 25 sound bites that explain the last 25 years of Triangle Sports on today's show. This is one of them. And I think you're uniquely positioned as a Carolina man.
Sure.
To discuss how there have been attempts.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So last week, if you missed the 25 sound bites that explain 25 years of Triangle Sports, we pulled a couple Butch Davis bangers.
Oh, yeah.
Including the back and forth with Joe Giglio, the Sam I Am, and should I have known? I wish I had. Well, I wish I would have known that Facebook Marketplace is somewhere you can find some real gems, but our listeners know. And I had a listener send me a Facebook Marketplace listing for this beauty, which I picked up for $30 cash yesterday.
Oh, wow.
This is going in the studio. For those who are watching on YouTube, you can see it.
Is that after Miami win?
I believe that is after the... Yes, that is after the Miami win.
Yeah.
I was at that game. I was with my family, and they were very, very upset. So this is a signed Go Heels Butch Davis picture, framed, matted with a real, nice, contoured, Coach Davis cutout, a patch, a UNC patch, right? I don't know where we're going to put this in the studio. I'd love to put it behind Giglio because that's his boy, right?
Yeah, right.
So the reason why I bring this up is that we've done this before.
Mm-hmm.
We've attempted we're going to be a real boy, a real football program. And there was almost like an adverse reaction. It's kind of like the Matrix. Somebody did not take to the programming. They rejected it.
Right.
And they unplugged and no, in the real world, we're basketball, baby, and don't touch it. And of course, that led to nearly a decade's worth of scandal, right? So we're doing it again. And this go round, I mean, come on, you referenced it. We can all see it. This is all trial balloons to show off to the SEC. Hey, man, We're serious about this.
Listen, we can be a real serious. We can take football seriously. You can put us on your 3:30 ABC SEC spotlight, and we will gladly lose. We would love to come and go 3-5 in conference play. I see Kentucky's falling off, but you know what, SEC? We can be your new Kentucky. We will give long contracts for 8 and 4 seasons. We can do this.
Speaking of realignment and what happens, Boo Corrigan sitting here talking about being patient. He kind of is in the position where he has to be patient. He's also probably hoping that whatever happens, it's a package deal. You mentioned Roy Cooper, who's running for Senate. He came through the studio a couple of weeks ago, and Giglio had asked him about, all right, what happens? Because usually in these situations, a governor steps in. But if Roy's running for Senate and let's say he wins, he's going to likely be involved with whatever iteration happens with college football next. Because if we're talking super leagues, something tells me government will get involved.
Yeah, I would say that some rival fans are quickly saying like, well, he got involved with Tez Walker. It's just we start pointing the finger.
Exactly. Hey, we're looking directly at you, Josh Stein, because when you were the AG, you were running this thing too, going after the NCAA. Cooper's response was a little empty because I don't think he's had a lot of time to think about it.
Is making sure State and Carolina stay together in the future something that would be on your radar?
I think that's important.
Okay.
I really do.
Because I know in State there's been some talk about how those can be galvanized, but a lot of times, we've seen it in Virginia before. It was a governor.
We saw Virginia step in, but we also saw Texas A&M and Texas do their own thing.
Right. Oklahoma State.
California, the governor got involved, obviously. So there's that conversation, but yeah, I mean, and we see this kind of stuff with the NCGA trying to make sure that these teams stay scheduled regardless of what happens. Let's say North Carolina leaves for somewhere or whatnot.
Well, but as the ACC agreement, as the exit fee drops every year,
to 75,
that's going to be more and more of a thing.
Oh, it's on the forefront. I mean, if North Carolina's preparing, I believe it's all stuff that we've heard. I know Inside Carolina put their name to it last week, and everybody's eyeballing that $75 million out, along with the grant of rights. But for stuff that matters to us, you don't want to see those teams broken up.
No, you don't.
Right?
No, you don't.
So,
I mean, they've offered some of the greatest games that we have seen, and lately we haven't done very well, Joe.
Look at you when your pronouns. I'm very proud of you. Yeah. Pick a side. I like that.
I enjoyed that. That was Roy Cooper with us. Was it last week or the week before? What is time? What is time, Chip? All right. So to close this conversation, I think we all recognize that Carolina is the one in the area that is ripe for being placed in the SEC to get paid a lot of money to be a middle team with a nice brand. And let's really focus on basketball.
I mean, they need to show that they're serious.
Yes.
But that seems to be the bare requirement.
And I think they can pull that off.
Yeah.
I mean, they're clearly showing it off now that they can pull that off. They can throw money behind it to be an enticing option. And we know what the brand is. In terms of out of the ACC, which one makes the most amount of sense? We all recognize that Carolina is the brand, not Florida State, because they got their own issues to deal with. Clearly, there are teams in that part of the country that do not want Florida State. And Clemson's in the same boat too. They don't want that, but they'll happily take North Carolina.
Well, I do think it's important as we understand and acknowledge that the SEC still has to extend an invite.
This is true.
As I'm, talking to peers and other parents, and they're like, so I hear Carolina's going to the SEC. And I was like, well, the funny thing about that is they still have to get invited.
Yes.
Are they positioning themselves so that when the rose is delivered, it's there? But I can tell you there is so much work that has to be done in both the SEC and the Big Ten before they can even get on the same page about trying to expand again, that it ain't happening anytime soon.
I guess the question is, what happens to State then?
Right.
As Boo is patiently waiting. Okay. What happens to Duke? People talk about package deals and things getting involved. I could see where government gets involved to make sure that State and Carolina are playing in some form or fashion. But if you're looking at a package deal, which one makes more sense? Carolina State or Carolina Duke? Because Duke, at least, if all things being equal, at least Duke has some peers within the SEC and the Big Ten if they were to join Carolina. There are some other private institutions that they can happily, hey, you, Vanderbilt, get together, right? Like that sort of a thing.
Right.
Okay, Kentucky football.
I mean,
have some fun.
I'm thinking about the media rights partners and the media rights deals that exist. And I can't imagine that the 4-letter network would let Duke get away.
I would imagine.
Yeah. So whatever umbrella they're under, and maybe it just is like Duke, because you know what it felt like at times? Duke and the 17 Dwarfs.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's Duke and the 17. Maybe they become the Gonzaga of the ACC.
There's no way.
I don't know.
Nah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like the 4-letter network's like, no, we need you to stay put so that we still have value in this thing that we are like investing in.
But you're talking about a broadcast partner that's already in bed with the SEC, and they're putting all their money behind the SEC. They're just saying, hey, you know what would be even hotter than Duke, Carolina twice a year?
But they don't want him to go to the Big Ten. That's the point.
That's the thing. That's why they would go to the SEC.
Everyone's like,
because hey, not only can we give you a Duke, Carolina twice a year, but
Duke, Kentucky.
Let's go.
Right.
Housekeeping.
Big thanks to Enovana. Check them out online at enovana.com.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Enovana.
The house.
That's next week.
Okay.
Next week. It's every other week. Next week.
Nobody gets their house cleaner
than Enovana and the Ovies house. We got the Sports Podcast Festival coming your way at the Rialto, August 23rd. That's next week.
I'm fired up about night. I'm obviously
night
zero as well. Got a long phone conversation with Michael Felder yesterday just to get on the same page and get excited myself.
Well, Felder's gonna be there. So is Matt Brown. Extra points. Matt Brown. All the stuff that we were talking about. If you are into some deck presentation smut, my guy Matt Brown's got you covered. He will talk all about these things.
Latest newsletter breaking down spending in women's volleyball.
Do you have a thing for FOIA requests? Well, Matt's got you covered. That's gonna be at night zero at Bond Brothers East Side in Cary. And
is that a different location than the one beside the Amtrak station?
Yes.
Okay, that's the second location.
Yeah, the East Side is in the Chatham Square Shopping Center.
Got it.
It's a nice venue that has a stage and all that kind of stuff. And we'll have OG Light on tap there.
Love it.
We'll also have OG Light at the Sports Podcast Festival with us, Split Zone Duo, and Big Screen Sports. Go to therealto.com. We got Mike Archer hanging out with us.
Nice.
Mike Archer, former LSU head coach, former NC State defensive coordinator. The man has stories on stories. He's a fascinating guy who's seen a lot of freaking college football. So come hang out with us. Hear stories from guys like Mike Archer. Split Zone Duo, again, they're a fun time as well. Go buy tickets. I'm being serious. Go buy tickets.
And click on the link from Dimitri.
Yes, go do that.
As an OG Founders Club, I got my email in. I was like, all right, nice. There we go.
If you're part of OG fans or were part of OG fans, since that's now defunct, you can check your email. There's a free ticket waiting for you. So go to therealto.com and get that stuff. Speaking of OG fans, we're going to reboot OG fans to a YouTube membership thing. That I think is launched today. So we'll start doing a mailbag next week when Gilio is back. I believe I literally just hit launch on YouTube this morning. So I believe if you go to our landing page on YouTube, you'll see a join button. And then we're just $5. It's $5.
Okay.
You'll get OG mailbag. You'll get OG business. You'll get access to the videos before the 2:00 premiere. You get little badges that show that you are part of this.
Oh, okay. I've seen that.
So you get little badges, all that kind of fun stuff. So we're experimenting with that. It's just $5. So go to the YouTube page. Speaking of YouTube, we're very, very close to a round number. I don't get too wrapped up in vanity metrics like followers and all that kind of stuff, but especially in 2025. But I do like round numbers. And we're close to 10,000 subs on YouTube. So here's what to do. If you haven't subscribed to YouTube yet, you watch us, but you're not subscribed, just hit the subscribe button. Get us to 10,000. The person who is 10,000, subscriber 10,000, will get a Happy Inhale black card.
Ooh.
You got to screen grab that you are 10,000. Okay. Don't screw up. Don't screw around. So screen grab it, subscriber 10,000, send it to us. You can DM us on Instagram or send it to theoggoesdigital@gmail.com. And you get a black card, 20% off for life.
Let's take a break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy Inhale.
So again, go to Happy Inhale, download the app today. Use our promo code OG25. You'll save 25% off one order. More importantly, be in the running for a 20% off for life when you are subscriber 10,000. Big thanks to Bloomin' Blinds. We are very, very close to the start of the college football season. We will be bringing back the After Darks for certain games this year. We'll start things off with ECU, NC State, and then we'll be back for the TCU, UNC game. And Bloomin' Blinds will be bringing you the After Darks. In the meantime, call up Bloomin' Blinds today, 919-980-9815. We've been talking about your home, like blackout shades, automated curtains, all that kind of stuff. You might have an office and you might want to, like, you're trying to have a meeting and the sun's getting in and it's distracting everybody. Nah, drop the shade. Bloomin' Blinds can help you with that. So check them out online at bloominblinds.com or call Chris directly at 919-980-9815. I think we're day number 38 with rain.
God.
I believe I will be building an ark here soon. I know this, with all the rain, all the moisture, mosquitoes ain't done, man.
Mm-mm.
We might have had that false fall. We know summer's going to come back.
Until that first freeze, they are feeling it.
So get ahead of it. With all this rain that's going on and things eventually dry out, that is prime mosquito breeding time. So contact our friends at Mosquito Authority and get the treatments today. Go to bugsbite.com. Speaking of your house, you want to save money on home and auto? State Farm, Matt Davis, our guy's going to help you out. InsureGarner.com, 919-779-8277. You might think you've got low rates right now. It could be lower. There's only one way to find out.
Have a conversation.
Having that conversation. 919-779-8277. And as I mentioned, with Giglio being out of town and he's driving, hopefully he doesn't get any speeding tickets. But if he does, we know who he's calling. Whitaker and Hamer. WH.lawyer. That happened to me earlier this year, driving back from Charlotte. Called him up. Like, what do I do? And they guide you. So WH.lawyer. Something as simple as a traffic ticket, or more important matters like small business needs, estates, wills, all that kind of stuff. They've got you. WH.lawyer. Check them out. Attorneys and counselors at law.
Listen to Sound Tribe Sector 9.
I did not.
STS 9.
I did not.
It's got big late 2000s, like hippie grunge sort of.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Look, Brian sometimes gets inspired by things that he sends it to me.
He's probably gonna be mad that he's like, no, that's not who it is. You know?
I'm sure I will get a text later today to let me know.
Shout out to Brian. He has made some incredible bangers that live rent free in my head.
And rights free. Rent free
and
rights free. That's the most important part. So I mentioned everything's a remix, right? We just did 25 sound bites that explain the last 25 years of Triangle sports. One of the things tied back to Butch Davis and North Carolina trying to be a serious football school. How could we forget Marvin Austin and the tweet that he dropped late at night? I live in Club Live, so I get the tenant rate. Bottles coming like it's a giveaway. That's a Rick Ross lyric that launched a scandal. Okay. Everything's a remix. So consider me amused.
God, it's so good.
When I'm browsing Blue Sky yesterday and I see this story from JP Acosta. For those unaware, a reporter named Brian Aguada, who's not a real person, by the way, breaks the news late last night that John Mateer allegedly engaged in sports gambling via Venmo transactions, which I checked before Mateer removed them all. And they were there. So the screenshot was a real thing. JP Acosta was an actual NFL reporter, saw it, went to the Venmo for Oklahoma's quarterback, saw them, verified. Mateer has spoken. The allegation that I once participated in sports gambling, false. My previous Venmo descriptions did not accurately portray the transactions in questions, but they were inside jokes between me and my friends. I have never bet on sports. I understand the seriousness of the matter, but recognizing that taken out of context, but recognize that taken out of context, those Venmo descriptions suggest otherwise. I can assure my teammates, coaches, and officials at the NCAA that I have not engaged in any sports gambling. Oklahoma said that they were looking into it. I guess they're in contact with the NCAA. John has put that out there. And here we are, 15 years later, no, more than 15 years later, having a very similar thing happen where people are looking at out of context screen grabs and going, wait a minute.
No. This is all just fun. This is legitimately like, babe, go ahead and start dinner. I've got to go through the Venmo profiles of all of my rival quarterbacks.
Dude.
I mean, we were digging deep on Arch Manning. You know, we were digging deep on like all the quarterbacks.
Hold on. Are your Venmo transactions public?
No.
Neither are mine.
Right.
Now, if mine were, you wouldn't really find anything scandalous in there. It would be nothing but hockey emojis right now.
Right.
Because I'm throwing $30 for ice time. I'm throwing, like it's, like the other day, NC State ice pack coach Tim Healy, he runs some defensive clinics. I got Jacob out there. That's $60. Got it. Boom. Here, Venmo. Like really easy stuff. Same with his coach for the junior canes this year, Shane. He's got ice time. He's doing some stuff. He's got to pay for the ice. Let's all chip in. Venmo. Boom.
I might get in trouble for some vulgar things that I've said about the Devils, the Caps, and the Panthers, as my Venmo history recently is paying for playoff tickets.
But what I've never understood, every time I go into Venmo to do a transaction, I see people's stuff, and I'm like, why are you...
The guy who sits here.
Why are you letting me know that this is happening?
Yeah.
Like, I'll see my brother's transaction. I'm like, dude, I don't need to see that you're paying a buddy for lunch or whatever it is, right? Make them private. And yes, even then, if it's an inside joke, guess what? Nobody knows the inside joke. Now, I think nothing's going to come out of this because we're a little bit more enlightened now versus where we were 15 years ago, 16 years ago with Marvin Austin. But it's like, kids today, man, not everything has to be public, y'all.
So I think that much like how about this? You have referenced often about my behavior on the Foursquare social media app back in the day.
Hey. You're talking to the former mayor of Marbles.
Okay. That's a big one to be able to hold down.
I held the Marbles mayorship for weeks and was very mad
when it got swiped.
When somebody who worked at Marbles took over mayorship. I'm like, that's not fair.
You not the rules
there. I'm here with my kid and I'm the mayor. Anyway.
My behavior on Foursquare, my behavior on Twitter in 2009 was as if no one was ever going to read it outside of like me and my friends and a few people. And I just think that as you are getting on an app like Venmo at such a young age, that your first belief is like, oh yeah, this is just something that me and my 30 peers or, maybe 50 peers are going to be seeing. Like Arch Manning, it's only the other 95 kids in his graduating class at Newman in New Orleans, like in Uptown. Like I think that they don't get it. Now, the fact sports gambling, and then a second one that said sports gambling, parentheses, USC versus UCLA.
Yes.
I am specifying the bet that I lost as I send this to you is incredible. And like, sure, it was an inside joke. A lot of people they'll send a Venmo for pizza and they'll be like, drugs. Right. And it's like, I think that's a dumb joke. I don't like it. But I can understand why you said inside jokes. And I agree with you. We're not going to pursue any action against John Mateer.
Yeah.
Like when we found like the 8-ball emoji on another quarterback's Venmo. Who's to say? And then there's now they're all getting fabricated. So you'll see a lot of Venmo screenshots that are all fake and they've been created. And
I can't wait to see
say nasty stuff.
I cannot wait to see the fake Bill Belichick screenshots for Venmo.
I want a David Amerson screenshot.
No. You want deep cuts? Give me an Adrian McPherson.
Yeah. There we go. So it was an incredible week in the deep college football world in terms of how one person like John Mateer, who, by the way, and the thing that makes this so explosive in the college football world is that Brent Venables is on the hot seat at Oklahoma. Yeah. And John Mateer is the savior. Oklahoma had one of the worst offenses in the SEC last year. He fired the coordinators. He brought over the coordinator from Washington State and the quarterback from Washington State. Mm-hmm. So Oklahoma's entire hope for continuing the Brent Venables era lies with this quarterback. And then all of a sudden you're looking at the potential of like, is this guy going to get suspended? That's why everybody this was great. Somebody is sweating their John Mateer Heisman Trophy ticket as much as John Mateer was sweating the end of USC UCLA.
Look,
Nobody's ever called it sports gambling. I'll also throw that one on there.
What do you mean? Nobody's ever called it sports gambling?
Yeah, no one's ever called it sports gambling. Sports
True.
betting. Or a bet,
or a bet.
Yeah, or a bet or something like that.
Or things like stuff like that. Look, if anything, what I'm more impressed by is with all of these apps available to you. Okay. Shout out to DraftKings because they're back in 2025.
They're back.
Right?
Okay.
They're back. Yeah, we're starting up with DraftKings in a couple of weeks. So the OG gambling syndicate is going to be back in effect. With all of the apps that are available to you, I think it's quaint. I think it's adorable that the on-campus cash transactions are still happening. You know a guy on campus.
Yeah.
That's impressive. I wonder.
It was 2022. So,
Still, things were changing. Things were changing. I still think my point still stands. There's still somebody on campus you can go to that avoids all the things that are on the apps and whatnot. You might get better odds from your guy on campus.
Somebody said, John Mateer, you're doing too much with this. I've never gambled. Your high school is 20 minutes from Choctaw Casino.
There you go.
Come on now. Also, one last thing that made this purely college football. So the first place I saw it was by a Twitter account that was Brian Aguada.
Right. As I mentioned, that's a fake account.
Which said,
that's not a real person.
No, insider at Deadspin. And the headshot is actually a former Northeastern hockey player. Zach Aston Reese had his face ripped for a fake Deadspin insider account,
like I said,
to break open the John Mateer Venmo transaction.
Everything,
college football's back, baby.
Everything is a remix. It's just Marvin Austin all over again. We got the AP Top 25 out this week. Texas, number 1. Is that the first time they're in AP preseason number 1?
Ever.
Even with Mac Brown hype machines?
Yep.
That's impressive.
I know.
Also, I think it's hilarious that the SEC has to import a number 1 preseason team in Texas. You don't get to a real SEC team until you get to Georgia at number 5. Somewhere Greg Sankey's upset. How is Penn State, Ohio State, and Clemson above Georgia?
Well, listen, if you're looking for a super league, look, we got 10 in the top 25. We got 4 in the top 10. I mean, yeah. Listen, I've seen all the propaganda slide across my desk already.
The propaganda is getting a little tired here, but if you're looking at it specifically from the ACC's perspective, you got Clemson at 4. Cool.
I think that's like good. So they were 6 in the coaches.
Mm-hmm.
They're 4. And
Miami at 10. You got SMU at 16, and then who else is in here? Who am I missing?
That's it.
Wait, that's it? Yeah, that's it. Okay, that's it. So there you go. Others receiving votes. BYU, Utah, Louisville.
No. So the first 3 teams on others receiving votes are all Big 12 teams.
Yes.
The Big 12 has only 1 team in the top 15 and 7 teams between 15 and 28.
Sorry, I am including Notre Dame in my 4.
Okay.
Technically. Sorry. All right, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the others receiving votes category. All right, BYU, Utah, UNC, Georgia Tech. Okay, that's cool. I get that. UNLV. All right, cool. Florida State, Duke, Liberty, Navy, Iowa, TCU, Pittsburgh, Army, Colorado. Who am I missing? Who's not getting votes?
No, North Carolina.
Why? I'm looking strictly at the schedule.
Right
now, I guess it's a preseason. But you're telling me that North Carolina can't even get a voter bump for being Bill Belichick's team?
No. Listen,
that surprises me.
Listen,
that surprises me.
Do you want to get into voting philosophy?
By all means.
Okay. I think at the beginning of a season, in the preseason, it is okay to go best. And by the end of the season, it should be most deserving.
I agree with you on that.
And to power rate North Carolina is probably a top 50 team and probably not a top 30 team.
I think the issue with North Carolina is what I've been banging the table on regarding North Carolina is, other than Gio Lopez, you don't really know much about what this Tar Heel team is, who they are, what are they?
Right.
You know, and because
they're big.
Yeah, but there's a lot of big.
There are not a lot of big. Like the reason why Pitt can get out there and sometimes like push some people around is because Pitt's big. The ACC is filled with a lot of tryhards that aren't necessarily big.
But I'm going to go to something that your colleague, Bud Elliott, said on Cover 3 when you guys were doing your win totals podcast, where he's getting some, I guess it could be sour grapes, but essentially there's this hubris that North Carolina thinks that they've outthought the room in getting big guys who are fast. And then, of course, what Bud, I'm paraphrasing here, but Bud was saying like, what do you think? Because other college programs don't have big guys who are fast? So what does that say about the caliber of big guy who is fast that they're getting?
So
now, Bud did say it could be sour grapes, which is entirely true. But it gets back to what I'm saying. I think there's just a lot of unknown, and if you go by that philosophy, we're gonna rank based on what we think is the best. Yeah, the North Carolina would not be in there. The surprise to me is that North Carolina isn't getting a coaching bump from Bill Belichick to get even others receiving votes.
Yeah,
like that's the thing that I find interesting, because what's the difference between Florida State and North Carolina
right now?
What's the difference?
I think that a little bit more about Florida State's roster.
Do we?
I think so.
It's an entirely new roster again.
Like 25, new portal players, but one of them's Thomas Castellanos. I mean, I think Florida State and North Carolina, to put Florida State on an others receiving vote means that they showed up at number 25. And that's why I'm not surprised, because while the others receiving votes extends to give us like a quote unquote top 40, to get a vote, you have to have convinced a voter to put you at 25.
Florida State under Mike Norvell, to me, and it's going to be very, very difficult for somebody to get me off this point unless they get sustained success with Mike Norvell, is a roll of the dice in how they go about these things, which is why we talked about this a lot at ACC Kickoff. It's interesting to me that Dabo, who was getting beat down in public discourse over how he needed to evolve his program and not double down on his culture and his philosophy and stuff like that, well, they've been pretty routine in where they've been in the ACC.
I'm calling this season Dabo's last laugh. That Dabo gets the final laugh at the rest of the country, because he has always said, my transfer portal is that locker room.
Yep.
And guess what? They did have a couple down years in recruiting, but then they got right back to it. And now they've got juniors and seniors who've been developing in the program and are going to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as the defensive coordinator hire helps them be able to, not get like totally out of position, bad tackling, like all the
like in the South Carolina game.
Yeah, they did not play to their talent level last year. And so I think this whole season is a big Clemson. Dabo gets the last laugh on the rest of college football.
It's funny. We had played a clip from Roy Cooper, and you referenced it. The former governor talking about the goal of a North Carolina football coach is to prolong the conversation about basketball.
Right.
Except that's not what's been in my timeline this week. Look, I still will listen to national stuff. I'll see what's on the podcasts, and I don't know. I for some reason it's turned into let's shit on Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys week because of all the Micah Parsons stuff.
Sure.
And I guess there's only so many Shedeur Sanders takes you can have after Friday's preseason game. So it's veered back into all right, let's just dump on the Cowboys and tell the fans that they're not relevant anymore, as we spent all week talking about the Cowboys. You see where those things don't really line up. So I started to listen to your colleagues at CBS Sports, Eye on College Basketball. They're doing their shoot-arounds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm scheduled to join Gary Parrish in a couple weeks to talk about North Carolina.
On the radio show?
No, on the podcast. Or maybe I'm getting bumped for John Henson. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Chip's making a face, so I guess I'm getting bumped.
I don't know. John's.
He's right, because you got a new colleague.
I got to work with John on CBS Sports HQ in March.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
John's great.
His story is cool too. Like he was up at MSG and they were like, hey, can you be a betting analyst? And he's like, my group chat all bets. Sure. Are the Venmo transactions public?
I
don't know.
Let's hope
but
not.
he's super sharp. And I was excited to find out that he'll be with Andrew and the rest of the team over there at 24/7 Sports.
So it'll be cool. We're actually going to talk to Andrew Jones tomorrow on tomorrow's podcast.
I'm also very excited just about that. The team that they've put together.
Oh yeah.
That was another part of talking to Michael Felder.
Yeah.
That was a good pivot. They were stuck in a very difficult situation, and I thought that they did a good job of being able to fill that.
Yeah, we'll talk to Andrew about that a little bit more tomorrow. So I'm listening to Eye on College Basketball, the shoot-arounds. I'm listening to Field of 68, and they're doing their grades, their off-season grades. They've gone through Duke, Carolina, and State. We'll get to State in a second. What's interesting about the Roy Cooper, hey, man, let's just put off basketball as much as we can. No, you still can't, because there's been a lot of reassessment of Hubert Davis and what this season means and things like that. And I think it was Field of 68 gave their offseason grade like a C+ or whatever it is. Childress is talking about the pressure that's on Hubert. These are all things that we recognize. But the funny part was the one about State. And this gets back to the 25 sound bites that explain the last 25 years of Triangle Sports. We started things off with the legend of Herb Sendek and Mike Patrick, misremembering how things ended for Herb and why Sidney Lowe was the coach. A disastrous coaching search is why he was the coach, not because we had to get Herb out to get Sendek in, right? And if you go back to that time 20 years ago when Herb left for the desert, NC State was getting shit on nonstop. And all your usual college basketball tastemakers, like a Jeff Goodman, like Gary Parrish, would just tell State fans to sit the hell down. So consider my surprise when I see this from Rob Doster at Field of 68. And then in a couple of years, we're going to be talking about Will Wade and NC State in the same way about Rick Pitino and St. John's. Here's the clip.
With a couple of years, we're going to be talking about NC State the same way we're talking about St. John's under Rick Pitino. I really do believe that. I think that's what's coming in the next 2 to 3 years for NC State. This year alone, I think it's more like borderline top 25-ish. You get to the tournament, you win a game, you're probably happy with that season. I mean, 7 seed that wins a game in the tournament, I think that's a great season for NC State this year.
I'm giving it an A because you basically had to recycle the whole thing. Plus, you had Darian Williams by himself. That puts you at least a B+. And I like some of the other additions, bringing along Quadir Copeland, bringing along Alan Breed, Trey Holloman. I think like I'm giving them an A because of having to recycle the entire thing.
That was Terrence Oglesby,
yeah.
With Rob Doster for the Field of 68. And I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. What era did I wake up in? NC State's getting lauded. Now, this is a classic case of specific to college basketball. And I think you know what I'm about to say. When it comes to college basketball, we see this in college football, but in college basketball in particular, there are guys that the guys like.
Yep.
And Will Wade is one of those guys. And NC State finally got themselves one of those guys that those guys like. You see what I'm saying?
You called it from the beginning. It's like, get ready, NC State fans, because people are going to talk about you differently.
Oh, yeah.
Because everybody loves Will Wade. I mean, this
and it's even though I knew it was going to happen, I will admit it's a little weird to actually hear it. It's like, again, you being super into the college football weeds, like, when the football scoops of the world, they have their guys.
Right.
Like they have the guys that they identify as the up and coming assistants, stuff like that. You can kind of pick up on this stuff. John Shire, by the way, is one of those guys that the guys like. So State's got one. And North Carolina doesn't.
No.
And it's really weird.
I think that, North Carolina had an interesting situation because Roy Williams, correct me if I'm wrong, did not have an agent. Mm-hmm. Is that correct?
No.
Right. He did not have an agent.
He did not.
One of the ways that you get to these guys is through their agents.
Yeah.
And I just think that you don't have, with Hubert Davis, you probably don't have the same kind of access. He's able to create some distance where you're not talking to him. You're not getting as tight with him. Because sometimes you're able to get a feel for a coach without even necessarily talking to the coach in a one-on-one scenario. And I think that a lot of the tastemakers believe that Will Wade was done dirty, that like history looks back on how he was, created into this pariah.
Yeah.
And they are rooting for him to be successful because they bought all the Will Wade stock early when he was winning in all these different stops. He coached with the right coaches. He came up on the right staffs. I mean, Steve Forbes is another guy that all the guys like.
We're included in that.
And if you're on the right staffs and if you're with the right coaches, then, you get tapped. You get approved.
This stuff matters. The reason why I bring this up is ideally you would think that everything gets covered objectively. Mm-hmm. You think everything gets covered in a way that, all right, you're good. So therefore we're going to talk about there's all sorts of ways you could go about it, but relationships ultimately matter. Playing the game matters. And that's been the one thing that I found interesting with the hire with Will Wade in particular, is that I've not seen State play the game before since I've been here. And the money ended up winning. We've seen it at Carolina plenty, where the money wins. The AD might want something, but that money ends up winning, i.e. Bill Belichick, right? That's happened at NC State. I didn't think I'd ever see that, where the money ended up winning. And we'll see if it pays off. I think it will. Meanwhile, Hubert doesn't seem to be playing that game. That's his choice, and I'm not going to fault him for it. But others are playing the game for him. And the one thing that I will be interested to watch as we close this segment is that they've already laid out the table for what the season is. We've given you money. We hired a GM. We've done all these things. There's a specific reason why they put out that roster cost, okay?
Right.
Because they want people to understand we're giving Hubert what he needs. Don't believe anything else. And if he doesn't get consistent, well, then we're going to have to make a change. You got to play the game. And it's been weird to me to watch NC State with a coach who does play the game. And I hope NC State fans, you understand you're going to have to find a new shtick, okay?
Then everybody hates us. Nobody's treating us fairly.
Yes, you're going to have to find a new shtick this year for basketball. I'm telling you right now, because you got a guy who people like. So you got to quit with the, they're making fun of State fans again. No. They actually want Will Wade to succeed at your school.
Yeah.
Kind of weird. Big thanks to Miller Lending. You can check them out online at millerlending.com/theog, or you can call Gordon and the crew directly at 919-447-3377. Go to millerlending.com/theog. Refinance. Take it to close. Get a Raleigh Wine Shop gift basket. Even better, go to millerlending.com/theog or call them and tell them we sent you. Refinance. Get out of that high interest credit card debt and consolidate it into your home. Use that equity for your good. It's a much lower rate, trust me. Take it to close. Not only will you get the Raleigh Wine Shop gift basket, but you'll also get a row bag from Joe Giglio personally.
Ooh.
And they've dropped a lot of new stuff, by the way. They got a new ECU hoodie that just dropped. There's a Charlotte polo that just dropped. They got some new Carolina stuff, some new state stuff. One of them could be yours if you go to Miller Lending. In the meantime, you can go to rowback.com right now. Use that promo code OG20 to save 20% off your order. Speaking of homes, you are looking at the market. You've got some ups and downs. Maybe you read something about the current state of the triangle. Talk to the experts. Talk to our friends at Hometown Realty. MyHTR.com. You can buy and sell with confidence. Let's say you buy a house. One of the big reasons why you bought this house is it's got this great outdoor kitchen and they've got this grill. But you're thinking, man, I'm going to have to replace some of this stuff because it's looking kind of beat up. They weren't really taking care of it. Don't drop all that money on a new grill because you could probably salvage it and save a whole lot of money in the process and make that thing like new. Thanks to our friends at NC Grill Rescue. Go to ncgrillrescue.com. We are talking about a deep cleaning, not what I did this past weekend where I sprayed some stuff on it and got enough of the rust off.
That's seasoning, baby.
Yeah, that's seasoning. No. This is prolonging the life of your equipment. Okay. You invested a lot in that grill. Make it last a long time. And a great deep cleaning from our friends at NC Grill Rescue. We're going to make that happen. So go to ncgrillrescue.com. Now you've just cleaned it. Looks good. Now you got a grill on it. Where are you going to go?
Butcher's Market.
Butcher's Market. Go to thebutchersmarkets.com. I mentioned the Gleezies yesterday.
Is it Glizzy or Gleezy?
Gleezy. Gleezy.
Okay.
And it even has the Gleezy sauce, which is like a tangy mustard sauce, which is actually low-key good. I made a cold cut sandwich yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And I put some of the Gleezy sauce on it just to see. It hit. Yeah. It was good.
I love a good mustard.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
So the Gleezies, it's a brisket, smoked brisket dog.
So good.
Kid approved. And they have them at the Butcher's Market. I know they have them at the Millbrook and Falls location. Not sure about the other locations, but I know they got them there. But at all locations, you can find what you need in the butcher's case, right? You need a specific cut of meat. You're looking for the filet burgers, which I also had this weekend, which are excellent. You're looking for a prepared meal. They got it at the Butcher's Market. So go to check them out at thebutchersmarkets.com. And after you've picked up some stuff, hit Two Roosters on your way home. In fact, you can go to our home base on Lake Boone. You can go to the Butcher's Market, get what you need, and then go to Two Roosters, get a couple pints and bring it home. And you have yourself a wonderful weekend. So go to tworoosters.com. They've got their all-star flavors back. The peanut butter cookies back. That's my personal favorite.
I was there with Chase and Cam getting the early in the month peanut butter cookie. I will be back for a late in the month peanut butter cookie. And sure enough, I got to see Giglio walk in to get the cardboard cutout. And what my 3-year-old, hey, why that you? You know, like, because he came out with the cutout and he was older. I was like, hey, boys, look, it's him. Hey, why that you?
I need him in studio saying that so I can put it on the soundboard.
Okay.
That's what I need. All right, let's get out of here with some Hey Joe. As always, when we go to the OG Sports Phone, it's brought to you by our friends at Nature's Relief. Check them out, naturesreliefhempstore.com. You're looking for something that just chills you out on the couch? They got that. You're looking for something to just have a more enjoyable weekend? They've got that. Looking for something to help you sleep? They've got that too. Wine alternatives, alcohol alternatives, they've got that as well. They got everything at Nature's Relief. So check them out, naturesreliefhempstore.com. We're going to be there next Thursday at the in the Garner location.
Timber Drive.
So we'll have a lot of fun with that. You got me with a Hey Joe via text, because speaking of your kids, they're not on that Paw Patrol, are they?
No, we've mostly cycled out of Paw Patrol. But what I was going to offer to the conversation is that Paw Patrol has, in a way that I think you can appreciate from other franchises, it has gotten so deep into the series that we've lost all intention of trying to drive home any messages. Well, like, it's just we've created new characters, we've built up new like versions, like, and this time the asteroid gives them powers to fly. It's like, and this, like, the gimmicks have totally jumped the shark. So the messaging in the modern Paw Patrol is totally lost. It's just like, wow, look at the cargo zoom.
So what are your kids into then?
Right now?
Let's
see.
Well, how old are they now?
5 and 3.
Okay, so what are they into right now?
We had a huge Sandlot summer.
Okay.
They played. They were on a baseball team together.
Yeah.
We did a lot of Sandlot and a lot of Angels in the Outfield.
Nice.
Just kind of like kept those. I've probably have watched both those movies 15 times over the course of the last 2 months.
It's like when my brother was obsessed with Space Jam and he would reenact things. He also would watch Air Bud, although I guess they're rebooting Air Bud.
That's what I hear.
Okay.
We're super big into anything shark or alligator related. So like we'll watch Peter Pan, but only the parts where the crocodile comes out. You know, the tick tock. So I've seen Captain Hook be shaved by Shmi several times
now
over.
Are you watching Jake and the Neverland Pirates on Disney Channel?
Is that another good option here?
It extends the lore.
Okay.
Extends the lore of the Peter Pan universe, because that's what it's all about. It's all about. So your kids haven't gone through a train phase yet.
Well, we did Thomas's Amazing Adventures was a run when they were younger.
Okay.
We would watch, I think it was on Netflix, and it was like Thomas's Amazing Adventures. And there'd always be, you'd go, and I think that you and Chris referrenced it, like you'd go to Asia. And we'd have like a big experience.
No, we never watched. As Paul pointed out in one of the calls, that we were talking about some of the older stuff.
Right.
Trains rights,
because
trains have rights. So
they're
sentient beings.
Listen, it is important.
Yes.
Okay, it is important.
Yes.
I stand for trains' rights.
Yes. No, because I'm always curious, like what I missed or what the kids missed. Because like when Caleb was coming up, it was Yo Gabba Gabba. That was like the hot thing. They were touring. I mean, we went to a couple of shows. Thomas is always a classic, right? And then you had those one-off shows that they had for like a hot minute, like Octonauts. You also had Wildcrats for like a hot minute.
Wildcrats rocks. We still, because Wildcrats plays on PBS in the mornings.
Yeah.
And depending on whether we're running late for school, sometimes it pops up.
I guess the question I have for you as we discuss all these things, you haven't gone down a lore rabbit hole, have you? You're not on Daniel Tiger Conspiracy on Reddit, are you?
No, I'm not.
Why not?
Daniel Tiger. So here's the thing. Do you know what happened? All of those, like your Daniel Tiger, they all hit for my oldest when he was young, but he's pushing the pace car faster and older than, and you might be able to appreciate that as well. That like normally the 3-year-old wouldn't want to watch The Sandlot, but his big brother wants to watch The Sandlot every day.
We had that issue with Star Wars in that Caleb was getting to the point where he was like deep into the Clone Wars animated stuff, which a lot of that stuff like over their head. It's even more so over the head of a 3-year-old.
Oh yeah, Chase, my 5-year-old had a Pokemon run for like 2 months of watching the Pokemon TV show.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, you guys are not getting any of this right now.
None of that. And then what I had to like catch is that they would go down these YouTube rabbit holes where people were doing Lego Star Wars reenactments. And a couple of times I'm like, whoa. We're doing a little too much with Bikini Leia here. All right?
Yeah.
No. Give me the iPad. I'll watch it later.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports Phone and curse or don't.
All right, let's go to a 919.
Hey guys, love the show. Wanted to ask a question, get some clarification on this because I saw this posted around and I just don't know how true it is. I'm well aware there's lies, there's damn lies, and then there's statistics. But saw this post talking about, I think it was like some equity report for the 2003 football season, and it was talking about schools in the ACC and said that NC State football made about $78 million in revenue from football, ranked them fourth in the ACC behind, the big ones, the Clemsons, the Florida States. Then it said that their attendance was fourth in the ACC, their stadium capacity was fourth in the ACC, but then it said their football spend was 14th in the ACC. And it said that if you took a percentage of their football revenue that they put back into football, it would put them dead last in the conference at only 46%. Said somewhere that State made on average $20 million more than the other ACC schools, but spent $10 million less than the other ACC schools. I mean, there's got to be some behind the scenes stuff that I don't know, because that split just seems crazy to me, especially if they're going to be asking fans for more money to then just fund other sports than the one that they're paying for. I don't know. But let me know if there's some bullshit magic going on here, but love the show, guys. Keep it up.
The easy answer to that, Chip, is there's always bullshit magic going on when it comes to budgeting.
It's an athletic department budget.
Yes.
But it isn't, so as I was sort of tracing it in my head, my right off the jump response is football funds everything.
Yes.
So you can't put everything that is, all the revenue that is generated by football can't go back into football, or else everything else would atrophy.
Right.
Okay.
That's the easiest way to put it.
Yeah.
We can revisit that because I'm sure Gilio has some behind the scenes specific to NC State numbers that can help contextualize that. I don't know. Maybe we'll revisit that on our OG mailbag next week when it comes to NC State and their budget. Some text here from a 919. I know this is real late, but I would rather have a 76-yard hole-in-one on a par 3 course than a Coastal Division title.
Wow, that's a great joke.
And
I
get
like that.
stomped in the championship game. It's the par 3 of divisions. Like, wow. This is all related to Dave Doran having a hole-in-one, his first ever, on a par 3 course.
So
I thought Gilio was being a little too golf purist for my liking in that regard. You're the golf guy, though, so you tell me. Like, to me, a hole-in-one is a hole-in-one, even if it's 76 yards on a par 3.
And no one's going to yuck your yum when you celebrate the hole-in-one. But was it Brazos who said there's divisions to holes in?
Yes.
There's like the hole-in-one that you hit on a par 3, the hole-in-one that you hit with your buddies, the hole-in-one that somebody hits at a major championship, the hole-in-one that someone hits at the 3M Open. But I kept thinking about, you mentioned Knights Play, but I was thinking about the Cradle down in Pinehurst, which is another little short course.
Mm-hmm.
Those holes are like 76. I think the longest hole might be 110 or 105.
Gotcha.
I do think you need to be at least 90. I think you might need to be triple digit. It might need to be a 100-yard hole.
Fine. All right, last one. My 919 text. Hello, OG. Loving the off-season content. We just remodeled, and I found this relic in the back of a drawer. It obviously belongs in a museum, but I will trade it for an OG hat. If you were watching on YouTube, what I'm about to present to you might trigger you. It's an old I Love Herb red shirt that was handed out to the students back, say, 2000. That's got to be circa 2004.
Wow.
2003, 2004 time frame when Herb was really feeling it.
Yep.
But they had that cloud. You had Julius Hodge in the crew. And I remember those shirts, the I Love Herb, which is perfect for a college campus on multiple levels. Imagine if you had Venmo back in 2003.
Oh, the Herb Sendex jokes.
Oh, all those transactions would have had Herb Sendex jokes. I will happily take that shirt for an OG hat. I will frame it.
Did you know that there were 2 athletes that were both at North Carolina at the same time? There was
Puff Thomas.
Well, there was a Danny Green and a Johnny White.
Oh.
There was a running back named Johnny White, and of course we know Danny Green, who went on to be a multiple-time NBA champion. Those are just 2 athletes that happen to be
a lot of transaction love.
Just happen to be 2 athletes at the University of North Carolina at the same time.
What are you talking about?
Danny Green and Johnny White. Yeah.
John Bunting's impressed. That's gonna wrap it up. Chip Patterson, CBS Sports Cover 3 podcast. Hey man, thanks for hanging out.
Hey, enjoyed it.